Where would you rather be on a Friday afternoon than getting all the info you need to bet baseball? This evening, a full MLB card, and we're going to get you ready here on First Pitch, only on WagerTalk TV. Cleveland versus Toronto. We got cards in Philly. The Rockies taking on the Orioles. The Rays hosting the Yankees. And last but not least, a little Dodgers and Red Sox action for you. I'm Dan Alexander, and joining me, we got a hell of a team here on a Friday. Marco D'Angelo, Don Buster, and Tokyo Brandon. If you like the show, all we ask you to do, hit that subscribe button. We appreciate that. And hop below in the comments. We want to hear from you all show long, whether you agree, whether you disagree. And while you're down there dragging us in the comments, make sure you throw a like every now and then as well. Let's get into it, guys, because we got plenty to get into here. Marco D'Angelo is joining us. And, man, these two teams who you want to talk about, they haven't faced off since, only one time, really, since their 2018 World Series tilt. So I look at this just from a fan perspective, the Dodgers and Boston. And it's got to be weird for Mookie Betts coming back to Boston. I don't think he's ever done that as a visitor. So what? Do we think the Sox are spoiling the homecoming there for Mookie, or are we betting the other way and he gets the last laugh? What do we think, Marco?
Yeah, this is a situation, Dan, that I got to stay with the hot team. But I want to talk about the starting pitcher here, and that's Lance Lynn for the Dodgers. You want to talk about a guy that's had a complete reversal of form. He was with a team that had no shot of making the playoffs and limping to the trade deadline, didn't know what his status was going to be. And the way that he was pitching, I didn't think he was going to be a commodity that anybody would want to go out and grab because he was having a horrible season. Lo and behold, the Dodgers make the trade for him at the trade deadline. And since he's gone to L.A., he must love that California dreaming out there because he is pitching some really good baseball, especially but look at the difference. The last three starts before the trade deadline, he went 16 innings and he allowed 17 runs. That's the last three before the trade deadline. Since the trade deadline and putting on the Dodger blue, 4 starts, 25 innings pitched, just 4 runs allowed. And his strikeout to walk ratio, 25-5. He's dealing it. He's got command of his pitches right now. I don't know if it's just being at a winning location or if the pitching coaches there in LA saw something in his mechanics and, had him do something different. Whatever it is, it's working. It is, my buddy Joe Ranieri says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I'm going to look at the Dodgers and ride Lance Lynn. On the flip side, look at Boston. They're sending Cutter Crawford to the mound. And this is a guy that in his home starts, 8 of them, he's got an ERA of 8 and a whip of 1.66. You put that many people on base against this Dodger lineup, including Mookie Betts, it's going to be a long night, or maybe I should say a short night for Crawford. I'm going to go ahead, take the Dodgers here. And another interesting stat on the Dodgers, we know how good they are, how good of a season they are. In games where the line is plus 125 to minus 125, basically those are supposed to be coin flip games. They're winning at a 67% clip. They're 18-9 in those games this year. I'm going to go ahead and take the Dodgers for the big game breakdown.
I love it, and I love the breakdown there. I was just trying to see what our price is currently on Mookie Betts to hit a home run, because I see some folks in the chat already thinking Mookie should have a good game here tonight, and also lines up with the way that Marco is looking at the game as a whole. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he goes yard once he gets over the green monster that he loved so much there in Boston. Don Buster, man, it's been a while since I got to be on air with you here. I don't see the Mexican rug behind you, so I know that you're probably not down south quite yet. But it's great to see you, brother, and you want to break down this Cleveland and Toronto game. Earlier they met this month. It was a split 4-game series. Looks like we're going to have Bibby and Bassett on the mound, so a little alliteration in the pitching matchup. How are you going to be betting this one, Don?
Yes, Dan, the Mexican blanket is only reserved for Puck Time Tuesdays that I've been doing for about the last 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, I get a lot of comments on that. And it, of course, drives Carmine insane. So I always like to do that. Yeah, we're going to go here in this Cleveland Toronto game. Then we're going to go with the first 5 under 4.5. We have a couple of guys pitching tonight that are capable of pitching lights out early in this one, I believe. Tanner Bybee, that's actually our good friend, Marco's good friend and mine, Brian Leonard. He actually corrected me on his pronunciation of his name. So I believe it's Tanner Bybee. That's what we're going to go with, unless maybe Brian was just screwing me around, but that could be possible. He goes for Cleveland, and on August 8th, he held the Jays to no runs in 7 innings. Now we know Tanner has not been as good on the road. There's no doubt about that. But here's the key, I believe. He gets the Jays off of a 6-game road trip and having to play Baltimore those last 3. And you know what? The Jays bats the last couple of games, they're dead again. They go through these stretches, Toronto does. And I don't know what it is, but they go through these stretches. They only scored 3 runs the last 2 games, and now they're back for that first home game. So we'd like Tanner to do the same thing and hold these Jays down early in this one. Chris Bassett goes for Toronto, and he's a much better pitcher at home than he is on the road. And I like to say he's a lot better pitcher at Skydome, because that, me being an old guy, it's not Rogers Center, it's not whatever, Scotia, whatever they want to call it. It's Skydome to me. And Chris at Skydome has had a solid 2.83 ERA with a whip of 0.93 in 12 home starts. Now, if he just gets out of that first inning, we're going to have a winner here, because he just shuts it down, it seems. He just, like a lot of pitchers, as we all know who bet baseball, that first inning sometimes can get you into trouble. So we'll look for Chris to have a bounce back game here at home. And one other key thing that we like is that Bassett has not faced Cleveland this year. So that's going to be a plus early in this one. Dan, give us the first 5 under 4.5 between Cleveland and Toronto.
Under the 4.5 in the first 5, and that's a game you'll be hearing about a little bit later in best bets from our man Marco D'Angelo. But Don Buster taking a look towards the total, staying under in that one. And yeah, on the pitcher mispronunciation, I know people in the comments love it when I mispronounce teams' names. So go down there, drag me, tell me what an idiot I am. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to hear me really mispronounce stuff, you should hear me on WagerTalk Extra with Tokyo Brandon when we're breaking down some Asian baseball. He is our Asian baseball expert. You can get his plays daily, $9 each. But yeah, the first year of Asian baseball today, Tokyo, the pronunciations. I tried my best, man. So I need you to give us like a hooked on phonics, maybe. We'll do an edition of that sometime.
Sure.
But Brandon, happy to see you, man. I know that you've been traveling this, that, and the other way. So we're glad that you found time to find us here on First Pitch. Let's talk a little lefty on lefty crime tonight in the Baltimore and Rockies game here. Kyle Freeland, you think might be struggling to put some Ks up on that board. Why is that?
I do. I can teach you some Japanese if you want, Dan. Yeah, I got into Tokyo after a 16-hour flight. I got into Tokyo last night, and tonight I'm up at 3 a.m. doing the show. So call me dedicated. If Lance Lynn is California dreaming, then I think Kyle Freeland will be having some Baltimore nightmares today, because in his career against Baltimore Orioles, who he's facing today, he actually has a .955 OPS against. The sample size is kind of short, but I like to do these outs recorded props. And the reason I like them is because in general, major league pitchers will go 15 to 16 outs in their starts. And it's much easier to project a over under on a high number like 15 or 16 than it is for strikeout props, which strikeouts generally are between 5 and 7. Much harder to predict over 5 and 7 than it is to predict over 15, over or under 15. So what I do is I take a look at how the pitcher generally goes, how deep he goes in his starts in the last 10 days, or in the last 10 starts, in the last 5 starts. And then I calculate how the lineup he's going against, whether they stretch a pitcher's starts out or whether they condense his starts shorter. So looking at Kyle Freeland, he generally goes 15.9 outs. 15 is exactly 5 innings. So he teeters between 5 innings and 5.1 innings in his career, or in his season, in the last 30 days and in his season. So what does Baltimore do? Baltimore generally will shrink starts by about 0.8 outs per start. So I project Kyle Freeland today to go 15.1 is my projection there. And the book has it at 16.5. So I like an under here, Kyle Freeland against the Orioles. If you look at how he's done against the Orioles in his career, he's got a 9.55 OPS against, so not very good. Generally, you want it to be in the 700 range if you're going to trust a pitcher. And in his last 2 starts, he's only gone 5 innings. He gets pulled pretty quickly, actually. He's gotten pulled after 79 pitches. He's gotten pulled after 89 pitches. He went 95 in his last outing against the White Sox. But generally, the Rockies will pull him after 5 innings. So I like the under 16.5 and Kyle Freeland's start today against the Orioles.
Love the breakdown there, and I know that you haven't slept, Tokyo, if you work in a mamas and the papas reference in your handicap. So I know that you're probably running on fumes.
My eyes
brother.
open. Tom and Jerry. Did you see that Tom and Jerry? Or what is it? The pink. What was that movie? Sorry, never mind. You know what I'm talking about.
Marco, we got to get this guy out of here. You know what I mean? We got to just keep the show moving before Tokyo Brandon completely loses it. I'm messing with you, Tokyo. You're doing a terrific job. Yeah. Look at he's singing, Marco. Actually, just sing a bet under Marco while he gives his best bet. So, Marco, here we go. Let's get some decorum back here, brother. By the way, I forgot to mention happy birthday. No, not to you, but the company that you started, man. 9 years of being the leader in sports betting information. It's an absolute pleasure to work with you guys. So I love the fact that we get to celebrate something like this. And apropos, it's I believe we get to take 50% off any package that's over $15. And the co-founder here, Marco D'Angelo, has an all-access pass that you can use birthday 9. Use that code and ride with Marco all Friday long. So what? Number 1, congrats, Marco. Number 2, what do you got for us in this Cleveland and Toronto game?
Well, I just want to say I want to thank all of the listeners, viewers of all of our shows. We couldn't do it without you guys, and we've got a great cast of characters. I'll say that for sure. And both in front of the camera and behind the cameras that makes this all happen. So we appreciate you guys. And hey, if you want to give us a happy birthday present, how about give us a like or hit the subscribe button? We'd appreciate it. Helps the channel a lot, and we can keep bringing you guys this kind of content. Speaking of content, let's get a best bet. And Buster broke down this Cleveland game kind of the same way I'm looking at it, but I'm going to tack it a different way because I do expect a low-scoring game. I do like both starting pitchers in this one. And we talk about the Cleveland starter, and he has been ultra consistent. This is a guy that for the season has made 20 starts. 18 of his 20 starts have been 3 runs or less. Now, I point that out because I expect him to have another good outing and keep us in this ball game. I also am looking at Toronto, and they're in one of my favorite situations in which to fade. They're coming off a road trip. Not only was it a road trip returning home now, but the last 3 games of that road trip, they were playing Baltimore, who is in first place, obviously, in the AFC. Yeah, I'm getting into football mode. In the AL East. And a little disappointing, losing 2 out of 3. They grabbed the first game of that series and then got beat up in the second 2. So they're kind of limping back home off the road trip. I look for them to be a little bit flat tonight. I look for both pitchers to have success. Where I'm going to go is first 5 innings. And I think these pitchers are a toss-up. But I can get Cleveland first 5 plus a half a run at minus 110. Generally, you're going to be in that situation. You're going to be laying more juice to get that plus a half a run. I think Toronto's overpriced in this game because of the way Cleveland is played in general. But if you've watched a lot of the Cleveland games, kind of the same old story. They hang around for a while, and then they fade late in the game. Well, we go first 5 innings. We take Cleveland with a hot pitcher. I think they stay in it. I think they can win the battle of the first 5 innings. But guess what? If we're tied up after 5, we cash a ticket as well. Take Cleveland plus a half a run, first 5 innings, minus $1.10 is my best bet.
That's Marco D'Angelo. Check him out, wt.buzz/MD. And Marco didn't even know it, but he was given a little tease there for bet on it once he slid in the AFC there. That's right. Football season is right around the corner. So echoing those sentiments of Marco, more reason than ever to make sure that you're subscribed here, because the football content, if you like what we do on First Pitch, it'll be continuing through the football season. While everyone else is focusing on that, we'll keep getting you winners right here. But man, the content we are about to ramp up for this football season, tell people about it, because WagerTalk is going to the moon, and you're coming with us here on WagerTalk TV. Don Buster, best bet, and I appreciate it, man. You're back and you want to talk my Phils. I love it. The thing about my Phils, however, though, is they can hit runs, but they can't consistently win games to save their lives. 6 out of the last 10 they've dropped. So I understand why you see a Phillies game and you say, I'm talking total here for my best bet. What are we eyeing, Buster?
Yeah, Dan, you're exactly right. I am going to eye a total, but I will just go talk about the NFL as well. Just want to remind everyone that you go over to this Sunday ends the early bird packages for college football and NFL. Go over, grab what we have a lot of great football handicappers. I include myself as one of them. Go over, grab a package over there for the early bird price. You don't want to be paying full price later in the week or once week one's done. So go do that. And happy birthday to WagerTalk. Marco has said it all. It's a great company, and I'm glad I'm just on one of the cappers on here. And you're right, Dan. I know to make sure I stay on the First Pitch show, I never, and I mean never, go against the Philadelphia Phillies. So I will make sure I have a total here, and my total is the over. Miles Miklos goes for St. Louis, and it's been a real disappointing year for Miles. He had a good year last year. St. Louis fans were looking for him to have a better year this year. It just hasn't happened. He had one really good month in May, and then the last 3 months hasn't been that good. And lately, he has been that good. He's sporting a 6.50 ERA in his last 3 starts, and I got a feeling it's not going to get any better against your Phillies, Dan. Christopher Sanchez goes for the Phillies, and he's actually struggled at home and compared to the road. Actually, in fact, he's 3 runs better on the road than he is at home, and he has struggled late too. His last 3 starts, 5.29 ERA. And one more thing I want to talk about Sanchez, and I mentioned this last week or maybe a couple weeks ago on the show. Watch these guys on innings. Now, I know Sanchez has only been around, like he had a little coffee about 2 years ago. It's his 3rd year, but he's already pitched 24, 25 more innings than he did ever in Major League Baseball. Now, I know he pitches more in the minors, stuff like that, but when you're in the big show, that makes a difference to me and coming into September. So maybe this is why he struggled as late as well. So bottom line for me, guys, got a couple suspect pitchers on the mound here, and I'm going to go over the total.
I like it. The breakdown there from a man, Don Buster, and you saw Bryce Harper there in the graphic. Harper has just been a home run machine. It's been set it and forget it over his last 3 contests, a home run in each of them. He's had 5 home runs in his last 7 games. So hop below in the comments. Does my man Bryce go yard and hit a standard Bryce bomb for 4 straight games tonight? Let us know in the comments below, or just call me a homer while you're down there. Doesn't matter to me. Either way, Tokyo Brandon, you're going to get the last word, and hopefully a word that has no lyrics behind it, as you got the Yankees and the Rays in this one. And the thing is, though, Brandon, like when the schedule came out months ago, you figured that this Tampa Bay Rays and Yankees series late in August probably has some huge implications both ways. And then life happened. And what happened to the Yankees over this month has happened. And now we see the Rays as minus 225 favorites. How are we betting this one, Brando? I can't hear you, Brandon. I love this. I'm just trying to sing again.
So The movie
There
I
we
was
go.
referring to was The Clockwork Orange, by the way. But yeah, with my eyes wide open. But yeah, surprisingly, the Rays are better than the Yankees, but the Yankees are actually making a little bit of a surge thanks to Aaron Judge's bat. I am going to fit the word cornucopia into this breakdown
Mm.
here, so be prepared for that. So taking a look at these teams, uh, you know, Cole gets a lot of credit. He's a great pitcher. The great thing about Cole is that he's very consistent. Rarely does he get blown up, but he did in his last start. He got blown up for 6 runs. But if you look at Zach Eflin, since he's gone to Tampa Bay, he pitched for your Phillies before he went to Tampa Bay, right?
Yep.
But before that, since he's been in Tampa Bay, if you look at his numbers, his WHIP, his ERA, and you break down like his last 10 starts, he's just as good a pitcher as Cole, and he's got blown up just as many times. So I take a look at these starting pitchers. I think they're pretty equal. I don't see a lot of difference. The book really loves Cole, but I think Zach Eflin is just as good as Cole, and he's shown it. So I like the pitchers to be basically a push here. So if you look at the other factors, I use a cornucopia of data to rank my teams, but cornucopia actually means goat's horn stew. But you can look that up later. The lineups. Take a look at the lineups. Take a look at the bullpens. And Tampa Bay has the advantage in both of these categories. Their lineup, I have them in my rankings. I have the Rays number 4 in MLB out of 30 teams in hitting. That takes a bunch of data in, including OPS, RBI, etc. And I have the Yankees ranked 23rd, despite their recent surge. I mean, Judge has been cranking it the last couple days. I think he's got 2 home runs in his last 2 days. Or no, he hit 3 home runs in a game the other day. I think he has 4 home runs in the last 3 days. But if you take Judge out of the equation, what are the Yankees? I mean, can you actually name 4 guys in their lineup? I would be hard pressed to do so. And despite Wander Franco and his 14-year-old wife, I think Tampa Bay is doing just fine. Hitting 4th in the MLB. Their bullpen, I have them ranked about 10 spots above the Yankees bullpen in the last 10 days and in the last 30 days combined. So I like the Rays here. And when I put this out to my clients, it was minus 130. I guess the line has dropped a lot. So if you don't want to bet at minus 210, which very few people want to, what you can do is take a -1, which you can knock about 50 cents off the price. What a -1 is if they win by 1, it's a push. So it's kind of an insurance bet compared to a standard run line, which is -1.5. So I like the Rays here. I think the Rays will do some damage. I think the first 5 innings might be fairly equal because I really like Eflin and everyone likes Cole. But I think as the game progresses on to the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, I think the Yankees just can't keep up with this Tampa Bay team. They're just too powerful, and their bullpen's just too good. So I like the Rays here. Take them however you can. If you want to take them run line, if you want to take a -1, I would recommend the -1. So that's how I'm approaching this one.
Rays beating down the Yankees, according to our man Tokyo Brandon. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Make sure you like and subscribe here to the channel. We appreciate you doing so. And that does it for another week here of First Pitch. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your day to check us out. And big thanks to the crew, Don Buster, Tokyo Brandon, and Marco D'Angelo. You can find them at WagerTalk.com. And you can find all of us right here at WagerTalk TV, where all the tools you need to bet all the sports you love are just a click away.